Welcome back as we continue the list of 10 great celebrities who are presently in prison. If you didn't watch the first part, go back and watch. The sixth person on our list is South Park Mexican, or SPM. Did you know that SPM is one of the few artists who has continued to release music from behind bars? Serving a 45-year sentence for aggravated sexual assault of a child. Carlos Coy's story is a complex tale of talent, controversy, and the blurred lines between art and accountability. Let's delve into the life and legacy of SPM. Born on October 5, 1970, in Houston, Texas, Carlos Coy grew up in the South Park neighborhood, a predominantly Hispanic area that would later inspire his stage name, South Park Mexican. After dropping out of high school, Coy worked various jobs before turning to music. In 1995, he co-founded Dope House Records with his brother Arthur Coy Jr., releasing his debut album, Hillwood, that same year. Selling CDs from the trunk of his car, Coy built a grassroots following, eventually catching the attention of Universal Records. SPM's music resonated with many for its raw depiction of street life and the struggles of the Mexican-American community. Albums like Hustletown and The Third Wish, To Rock the World, solidified his place in the southern hip-hop scene. His unique blend of Chicano rap and gangsta rap, combined with his entrepreneurial spirit, made him a prominent figure in the late 90s and early 2000s. In 2001, Coy's rising career came to a halt when he was arrested and later convicted for the aggravated sexual assault of a 9-year-old girl. The incident occurred during a sleepover at his home, where the victim was a guest of Coy's daughter. On May 18, 2002, after a 10-day trial, a jury found Coy guilty, and he was sentenced to 45 years in prison, with a $10,000 fine. He is currently incarcerated at the Ramsey Unit in Rochard, Texas, with a projected release date of April 8, 2047. Despite his incarceration, SPM has continued to release music, a rarity among incarcerated artists. Albums like When Devils Strike, 2006, The Last Chair Violinist, 2008, and The Son of Norma, 2014, were released through Dope House Records, often featuring material recorded prior to his imprisonment or via limited phone recordings. These releases have maintained a dedicated fan base, with some albums charting on Billboard. In October 2024, Coy became eligible for parole after serving over 2 decades of his sentence. However, in January 2025, the Texas Parole Board denied his request. Citing the severity of his crime and the potential threat to public safety, public opinion remains divided. While some fans advocate for his release, others, including victims' rights groups, emphasize the gravity of his offenses. SPM's story raises complex questions about separating art from the artist. While his music has had a significant impact on the Chicano rap scene, his criminal actions have cast a long shadow over his legacy. As discussions about accountability and redemption continue, Carlos Coy's life serves as a cautionary tale of how personal conduct can profoundly affect public perception and artistic legacy. Jen Shah. This is the first woman on our list. She lived big, talked loud, and flaunted a luxury lifestyle on national TV. But behind the glam, Jen Shah was running a scam. One of the most jaw-dropping downfalls in reality TV history. Jen's story is a lesson on greed, deception, and the price of fame. Today, she's serving 6.5 years in prison, not for what she did on camera, but for what she did behind the scenes. This is the full story of Jen Shah, the real housewife turned convicted felon. Jen Shah burst onto screens in 2020 as one of the breakout stars of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She was bold, unfiltered, and the epitome of extra. Her massive mansion, designer outfits, and explosive feuds became central to the show's drama. Jen claimed to run several marketing companies, explaining her wealth vaguely as lead generation. While her castmates questioned her business model, viewers were glued to her over-the-top persona. But all that glitters isn't gold, and Jen's secrets were about to spill. Behind the reality TV fame, Jen was allegedly orchestrating a massive telemarketing fraud scheme. According to federal prosecutors from 2012 to 2021, Jen and her associates tricked thousands, many of them elderly, into buying fake services, like business coaching and online marketing tools. These were often completely useless. Victims were pressured into handing over their life savings. Some lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. She didn't work alone. Her assistant and fellow Real Housewives cast member, Stuart Smith, was also indicted and cooperated with authorities, further exposing the inner workings of their operation. On March 30th, 2021, in a moment that looked like it was written for television, Jen Shah was arrested on camera. As the cast prepared for a trip, Jen suddenly left the shoot, claiming a family emergency. Minutes later, federal agents swarmed the set looking for her. She was taken into custody shortly afterward and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. The footage made it into season 2 and viewers watched as the glam housewife's world crumbled, one court date at a time. Jen initially pleaded not guilty and maintained her innocence publicly. But in July 2022, just before trial, she changed her plea to guilty on the wire fraud charge. She admitted to knowingly targeting and defrauding vulnerable people and expressed remorse. But the damage was done. In January 2023, Jen Shah was sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison and ordered to pay over $6 million in restitution. She surrendered to the Bryan Federal Prison Camp in Texas shortly afterward. It was a stunning fall for someone who once called herself the Queen of SLC. Here's where things get even more fascinating. Jen's sentencing judge called her crimes especially egregious for targeting the elderly. Her extravagant lifestyle was funded by the very people she scammed. Even behind bars, Jen has tried to remain in the spotlight, launching a prison diary blog through family-run social media accounts. The Bravo fandom was split. Some felt betrayed, others were fascinated by the reality TV meets true crime twist. The show itself didn't shy away from the drama, turning Jen's downfall into a major plotline. Tory Lanez. He was one of the most versatile voices in hip-hop and R&B, smooth vocals, rapid-fire bars, and endless chart toppers. Tory Lanez seemed unstoppable. But it took just one shocking night for his career to come crashing down. By 2020, Lanez had cemented his place as a force in modern hip-hop and R&B. He collaborated with stars like Chris Brown, Meek Mill, and 21 Savage. But fame, as we've seen too often, came with controversy. July 12, 2020, after a night out in the Hollywood Hills, Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, her friend Kelsey Harris, and Lanez's driver were riding in an SUV. What happened next would change everything. An argument broke out. Megan exited the vehicle, and then, according to prosecutors and Megan herself, Tory Lanez shot her in the feet while shouting, "Dance, bitch!" Lanez was arrested that night, but initially only charged with a weapons violation. Megan didn't speak publicly at first. But weeks later, she confirmed, "Tory Lanez shot me." And the public was shocked. Lanez denied the allegations, releasing music where he cast doubt on Megan's claims. He implied he was being framed. Meanwhile, Megan faced an onslaught of online harassment, accused of lying or snitching. The incident sparked massive conversations. Why are black women not believed? Why is there such tolerance for violence in the music industry? In December 2022, after a dramatic trial featuring testimony from Megan, Kelsey, and forensic experts, Tory Lanez was found guilty on 3 felony counts, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm. In August 2023, Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in state prison. His lawyers had requested probation or rehab. The prosecution asked for 13 years. The judge settled on 10. Megan didn't appear in court, but a written statement was read. "He not only shot me, he made a mockery of my trauma. He tried to position himself as a victim and set out to destroy my character and my soul." Tory Lanez, who maintained his innocence to the end, claimed, "I still care for her, I did wrong, but I'm not a monster." Lanez is currently incarcerated at North Kern State Prison in Delano, California. He plans to appeal the conviction. His legal team insists the trial was unfair, but no new ruling has been issued. Even behind bars, he's tried to maintain his presence, issuing social media statements, promising new music, and insisting he'll bounce back. But fans remain deeply divided. Joe Exotic. He called himself the Tiger King, a flamboyant zookeeper with a mullet, country music videos, and an online TV show. But behind the cages and chaos was a criminal plot that would land him in federal prison. Born Joseph Maldonado Passage, Joe Exotic ran the Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma, housing hundreds of tigers, lions, and other wild animals. He was known for his eccentric personality, over-the-top antics, and self-produced videos where he wore sequins, sang country songs, and ranted about animal rights activists. But it was Netflix's 2020 documentary Tiger King that made him a global sensation. Released during the early days of the COVID-19 lockdown, the show became an instant hit, filled with big cats, bizarre characters, and an explosive feud with Carole Baskin, the founder of Big Cat Rescue. Carole Baskin accused Joe of animal abuse and ran campaigns to shut his zoo down. In response, Joe launched vicious online attacks, including music videos, accusations, and disturbing threats. Their feud escalated into one of the most publicized internet rivalries ever, but behind the camera, things were getting dangerously real. In 2018, Joe Exotic was arrested for a murder-for-hire plot, accused of paying a hitman $3,000 to kill Carole Baskin, but that wasn't all. Authorities also charged him with 17 federal wildlife violations, including illegal trafficking of endangered animals and killing 5 tigers to make room for new cubs. In 2019, he was found guilty on 17 wildlife charges and 2 counts of murder for hire. He was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. Even in prison, Joe Exotic remained a celebrity. He gained a cult following, released memoirs, and maintained an active online presence through his legal team and fans. He even launched a campaign from behind bars titled Joe Exotic 2024 to run for US president, and earlier, in 2016, had run a long-shot campaign for governor of Oklahoma. Joe has consistently claimed he was framed. In 2021, his sentence was vacated due to a technical error, and a resentencing hearing reduced it to 21 years. Supporters argue he was the victim of a conspiracy involving former zoo partners and federal agents. Others believe his case highlights the deep-rooted issues of animal exploitation in private zoos across America. And on number 10, we have Sean Diddy Combs, music mogul, entrepreneur, and hip-hop icon who is now at the center of a storm. He faces multiple federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The allegations span 2 decades and involve claims of abuse, coercion, and manipulation. The trial has featured explosive testimonies. Cassie Ventura, Combs' former partner, testified about enduring years of abuse and control. Kid Cudi recounted a harrowing incident where his car was firebombed, an act he believes was linked to Combs' jealousy over his relationship with Ventura. Mila Morales, Cassie's former makeup artist, described witnessing Ventura with visible injuries after an alleged altercation with Combs. Cassie's best friend for 17 years and several other escorts that were paid to be part of the freak-offs. This story is complex and far from over. If you want to dive into the details, the accusations, the denials, the evidence, and what might come next, click the video on your screen now for the full breakdown. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more truth behind the fame and all stories around crime and scam. See you in the next video.